Welcome everybody as we continue to look at our Enterprise Architect Trerado software. And at the moment we're having a look at Collaborator, and we're going to continue our series where we're going to look at dashboard creation within Collaborator. And last time we had a look at the rich text widget, but this time we're going to look at the diagrams widget to see how easy it is to add diagrams from Designer and put them into Collaborator so that we can show off diagrams and see how easy it is. My name's Scott Hebbard. I'm joined today by Stephen Maguire. Welcome, Stephen. Looking forward to hearing all about the diagrams widget and how you can use it.
Thanks for the introduction, Scott, and always a pleasure to be here. We're on the Enterprise Architect Trerado homepage. Two different tools here, Designer and Collaborator. And as you said in your introduction, Scott, we're going to be looking at Collaborator. So I've got that open in another tab here. When we come into Collaborator, no matter who we are, the most likely place for us to come in is to be looking at a dashboard, which gives us some information that we're looking for, so that in the form of text, in the form of diagrams, and all sorts of other things. And you can see here, if I move down in this, we can see there's a whole lot of different, charts and diagrams and all sorts of different things. The layout of the dashboard, Scott, and the information that's on them depends upon the audience, and so it's normal for a discussion to be had with the particular stakeholders, whether it's a group of people or an individual, about what kind of information they want displayed. Obviously, an executive may not want to look at some particular information. Maybe they're not interested in some lower level diagrams. That they might be interested in some higher level ones, like the ones that we're going to do today. But let's make a start. So we've got our dashboard there. We're going to look at adding this merger history and challenges and this stakeholder analysis workshop today. So let's get started. I'm going to move into the repository that we're building for our demo here. And so the ArchiSurance video demo, I've got access to that, Scott, because I'm an administrator. And again, we've got here this default dashboard, which has popped up. And we can look at our dashboards there and say, look, let's have a look at view all. And there's our ArchiSurance dashboard. Let's just launch that one. And that's where we left off on our first video, which was on
our rich text widgets that we created. Yes.
Yeah. And so, if you recall, we placed these on there with a rich text widget. But let's make a start now. Always when we want to do work on a dashboard, we're going to go into edit mode, and that's available just there. And we'll choose edit. The other thing that we might want to do is make it default, but we'll do a little bit more work before we do that because it's not quite ready to be showing people yet. So we go edit there, and we can make the dashboard active if we want, but we want to leave it as inactive for the moment. We've got the name of the ArchiSurance Home Dashboard, and you can see now we're in the dashboard edit mode. And so we've got our original widget there. The text is not showing up because we put it as a white, text on the blue background.
On the blue background, yeah. Yes.
And so now we're going to go add widget, and we're going to say add new. And again, we come up with a number of different options. The one we want to do is don't mistake images and diagrams. We want to do diagrams. So these are diagrams that have been created or imported in Trerado Designer. Images are, things like a bitmap or something like that, or a PNG file.
So you might have a picture of your company's headquarters or something that you want to include. Yeah,
exactly, Scott. So we'll look at that in a future video. So we're going to go diagrams, and we can go add widget there. We select it first, and we can say add widget, or down in the bottom right hand corner. Both do exactly the same thing. So let's go add diagram there. And the kind of diagram that we want to do, Scott, is about the merger. We want, the big picture of this organization is that there's been this merger between these three companies into ArchiSurance, which is this kind of umbrella company or conglomerate company that's doing all of the different types of insurances, whereas before, they weren't. Let's have a look at that. So we can do a search here, Scott, and I'm wanting to get some diagram to do with a merger. So I'm just going to type merger in. I don't need to know anything about the structure of my repository, but I can go search there now. And I've got merger history and challenges. Now that's interesting. I wonder what type of diagram that is. So over here under actions, I can say find in browser. And you notice here you've got you're getting a view of things that you've got access to in the repository. Like,
is that all of the folders, or does it just show the folders that you're allowed to see?
Yeah, very good question, Scott. And we haven't talked about this in detail, but let's mention it now. You can have curated views, and so you're exactly right. The things that I'm seeing now are the things that I've got access to. And so when a administrator sets up a collaborator views for you, they will select the things that are relevant to you. So, for example, if you're someone that's high up in the business to do with strategy, then you want to look at strategy, but you really probably are not interested in low-level technology about, cloud architectures or databases or any of that kind of thing, which obviously is important for a complete project, but not important for you to see if you're a strategist type of person. So let's have a look at that. And we've got this icon here that says Find in Browser. Let's look at that. It gives us a little bit of an indication of what's going on. And here we can go, oh, actually, here it is. It's under Business Context and Background. Well, that's what I want to do. I want to show that. And there's the diagram there. So I'm going to select that diagram first. So select it there. And I'm going to say Select. Now it's been chosen inside that widget. And I'm going to give the widget a title, and I'm going to call it, merger background.
Yep.
Yeah. So something like that. The diagram itself might have something on it, but I'm going to now look at this and say, I want to make this bigger. So it probably is going to be a decent sized diagram. So I'm going to pull that out and, choose that. So I can choose the tiles, how many tiles I want to occupy. So let's just choose that. It's going to be the same size as the widget next to it, so that's kind of good. And we've got merger background there. Now, the other thing that we might want to do is to unify the colors of our background. So let's have a bit of a look at that, and we'll go into the settings here, and we'll look at that background. Yes, that's an interesting thing. Let's choose that color. We'll talk about kind of corporate colors.
So you can just copy that hex value
into
here,
and it's the title background, and put that in there. And you can see now that that's happening. I think the other one was a white background, white text. So let's cancel off that text. Title text, and I'll go white there. And so that's kind of looking right. So maximize widget. Now, we talked a little bit about this previously, and in this case, we do want someone to be able to maximize the widget. And so we want that enabled. In the case of our banner at the top, we don't really want someone, there's no benefit in them, making that big or expanding it, but we do want this to be expanded. If it's a diagram, so I might want to look at it in a bit more detail. So we'll save that. And, let's say, look, we've done what we need to do. We've got our title in, we've configured our widget. Let's go save. So we've saved the widget. Now we're saving the dashboard. Click on that. And now you can see that the diagram has popped up and it's starting to tell a story. We've got our title backgrounds the same. And here we can look at this and go, well, this is quite interesting, but it's a little bit small. And so there's a series of icons there, refresh. I can share it. I can view it. I can maximize it. And I can even make discussions on it, Scott. Let's just go view for the moment. And that brings it up. And now it's taking up, most of the screen real estate there. And someone that's interested in the diagram can look at it. Just a word about diagram, Scott. This isn't a very technical diagram. This isn't about, if someone's using Archimate, the lingua franca, if you like, for creating architectures. This is a much kind of simpler view for people who can just look at it, and people don't need to know about Archimate or anything else. They look at it and go, oh, there seem to be three different companies that are merged together.
Insurance companies merging into one.
Yeah. And we've got, home insurance there. We've got, travel, what looks like travel thing. And now you can see these look a little bit old world. These organizations are not, don't seem to be very, very modern. But when we look over at Arch Insurance, we can see, home insurance, travel insurance, car insurance, legal, and it's all using that same icon of Arch Insurance. The other thing to say, Scott, is that in my experience in training over very, very many years, in fact, a number of decades, I've learned that people learn things differently. Some people learn with pictures. Some people are much more comfortable with text. And so this is an interesting diagram because it's got text on it as well. So you don't need to
Yes.
look at the pictures. You can just read the text. Arc Insurance was created by merging 3 insurance companies that shared similar business models, right? So all of that's there. And the other thing is, it's not just, you know, to use the vernacular, it's not just a pretty picture, Scott. If I click
Yes.
onto this element here, all right, I've got the properties window that will pop up, and here we've got some text that's, you know, talking about the merge in the background, the intent, the outcomes, and there's other information about it. And I can put any information that I want in there. I can put, you know, all sorts of other information properties there that I don't have at the moment, but I can configure it to display all sorts of different properties. I can also look at a number of different things here, like discussions. I can say we might want to discuss it. I can look at usage or traceability, right? So let's have a look at usage, and it's used in that diagram. Let's look at traceability. You can see it's, you know, there's lots of different connections that are made
with different items.
Yeah. And no matter which one of these things I choose, let's say, look, we don't know anything about travel insurance. Let's select that. Protects policy holders against trip cancellations, medical emergencies, etc. Starts to give, you know, some information about it. And again, we've got the discussion there. And again, you know, we've got all these different ways that we can look at it. So let's just close that. It may be that some people don't want to look at the properties. There's no need to open that properties if you don't want to, but you've got discussions there, you've got share, you've got, you know, all sorts of different actions. We can, you know,
well, it's much more than just a picture or a diagram. It's integrated. It's got discussions. It's got properties. It's got traceability with other elements.
Yeah.
So it's very comprehensive.
Yeah, and you know, look, I can zoom in as well, zoom out. So, you know, lots of different things there. I can go into this switch to analyzer view, which we won't do, and I can refresh it if something's changed. I can refresh that, right? And I can, you know, go into my normal view. I can go into my expanded view. So let's do something else, Scott. Let's add another diagram so that we, you know, can see different types of diagrams. Let's go back here. And let's go back to our Arc Insurance home dashboard. So there's a breadcrumb menu here that allows us to get back. I'm going to click on that, and now we're back inside our dashboard. We've drilled into something, if you like, and expanded it and got some information. Now we want to put in another diagram. So again, how do we do that? We go edit. We're in this Arc Insurance home dashboard. We go edit, and we want to add another widget. And so we'll just go add widget there, and we'll go add new. It's another diagram that we want to add. Choose that one. Either choose the plus there or the add widget button down the bottom. Let's go there. And now we want to look at something else about our stakeholders. So I know a little bit about the history of the Arc Insurance organization. They had a big workshop, Scott, where they got all the stakeholders in and discussed all the kind of things. Said, hey, what are your concerns? You know, we want to do some analysis of our stakeholders. Very, very sensible place to start. So Arc Insurance is definitely on the right track in terms of process. So let's type in here stakeholder, and we'll search for that. We don't need to know anything more than that. We don't need to bother going up to this tree in here. And let's go search. And look, we've got a number of different diagram options: Arc Insurance stakeholder analysis, stakeholder support for for courses of action, stakeholders, all sorts of things. But maybe I want to use this type thing here and say, look, I want to choose an analysis diagram, and I want to choose, I want it to be a mind mapping diagram. That's what I'm kind of interested in. So I'll select that, and now I'll refresh that search. And now we've only got the Arc Insurance stakeholder analysis. That's the one that I want. Again, I can see where that is in my browser thing. And yes, business analysis diagrams, mind mapping, Arc Insurance, stakeholder analysis. That's exactly what I need. So
the filters allow you to take a really large list and drill down to something in particular.
That's exactly right, Scott. And look, different organizations have a different number of diagrams. I was looking at organization only yesterday, and they've got more than 10,000 diagrams in their repository. It's a very large organization, but you don't need to be bamboozled by all of that. You can just go, look, I'm looking for a stakeholder analysis diagram. That's all I'm interested in. None of that other stuff comes up. And now I can say, look, let's select that. I'm going to select it there. And now we've got our Arc Assurance stakeholder.
And it also points out why we're so fastidious and we like to take our time giving our diagrams titles and all of our elements titles, because it makes them easier to find later.
Yeah, and let's just go stakeholder analysis. Stakeholder analysis there, that will do. Now you can see again, we've saved the configuration of the widget, but we need to now say, look, we want that to be a bit bigger. Let's drag it down to there and see. So it's the same size. I know it's a large diagram. It's a stakeholder diagram. I was present when they were recording this. So now we need to say, look, let's set our settings again for our title. And again, let's grab this color here. And let's cancel that, and let's put in here into our widget the same color. So the title background is that, and we want it to be
We're going to make the text white again.
Yeah, we'll make the text white. So we're kind of starting to create this. We'll go save to that. And, that's kind of what we've done. It's going to be a big diagram, but we can't display it all at once. But let's just save the widget now. Let's save the dashboard and see what happens. So the tool has conveniently kind of, shrunk this into to a view that you can see most of the diagram. You get a good idea of what it's actually about, and say, look, that's interesting. So if someone's viewing this thing again, they can look at this diagram, and again, they've got the refresh option, share, view, or maximize. And let's go maximize now. And so now I'm inside the diagram, and I can look at it and I can say, oh, this is interesting. And this diagram was created in the stakeholder workshop as a mind map, recording what people were saying at the time. Now the colors and the layout a little bit would have been edited afterwards, but the information that was down there was very just done during the workshop. So we can click on some of these things and say, let's have a look at the insurance intermediaries. What's that about? And we can look at the properties on this now. So let's have a look at this action here, and we'll click on an element there, and we can see now the element. So this automobile repair shop here, contracted service providers who repair vehicles damaged in accidents covered by Arc Assurance policies. They directly serve customers during claims and significantly impact customer satisfaction and claim costs. So again, useful.
And so it's a class and who the author is and other attributes.
Yes. And we can add in this case, we haven't done anything to display other properties, but we can display all sorts of other information depending again upon who the audience is and what they might want to see. So if this is a high level audience, they probably don't want to see anything too detailed, but it's a lower level audience, they might want to see some more information.
So if you're creating a dashboard for a business analyst, you might want to show all the use cases and the classes and all the attributes for those classes.
Yeah, the details of where this is, what this is going to be, linked to, for example. But here we can go. We can look at these elements, and what are our customers? Our customer concerned with data security. So let's have a look at that. Privacy protection concerns for personal information, financial data, health records, and digital identity managed by insurers and technology platforms. So that's what the data security is about. We might want to go into small businesses here, and what are they? Coverage changes, policy modifications, exclusions, all of that kind of thing. So let's go back to our dashboard. We can close this, and again look at our breadcrumb here: Arc Assurance stakeholder analysis, mind mapping diagrams, business analysis, and we can go back to our dashboard by hitting that back button there, and that will take us to our dashboard. So it's starting to look like we've got some real information there. And so let's do something else, Scott, and let's do go into edit here, and let's say, look, let's make it active now. Yeah.
Yep.
And then we'll save that. And the other thing we'll do here is say, look, let's make it our default. So now when people come in, they're going to come to this dashboard. And when they come here, you can see the Arc Assurance home dashboard is now the default, even though if I go view all, you can see that there are
got multiple
dashboards there.
And I take it that you could have different dashboards for different scenarios, for different audiences, and for different stories that you want to tell.
Absolutely, Scott. It's about a narrative. It's about communication. It's about sharing. And the other thing to understand, and I'm just, I will, talk about it, is the fact that this isn't just a pretty picture as we discussed, but if I go into here and say, let's expand this, and I'm a stakeholder and say that I was actually one of these mid-sized businesses, and, there was this thing about premium volatility, and that was what we discussed in the workshop. Bring that up, and here you can see that text has been written there, but I can change that text. Underwriting changes impact, so
yep.
I might just want to say, look, let's make that impact, and I can change that text. So save that, yeah, and it's successfully saved. Now you can control who's got access to be able to change things, but the take-home message about it is that it's an interactive dashboard, right? It doesn't have to be. You might have some like a CX level that just wants to come in and view things. They're not going to be probably down at that level where they want to change some of the text. But if someone is looking at it and is saying, hey, can you come and review this? They can go, look, you might give them the authority to change the text and say, look, if I like, this is what we copied down during the workshop, but if you think it's wrong, and you can, if we look at this whole thing under here, we've got reviews there, Scott, and so we can create a review, and that's going to be the topic of something else we're going to look at. But you can create a review and allow people to go in and say, look, this is what we jotted down in the workshop. This is what we structured, but here's your opportunity now to review it. So
it's an environment that's far more collaborative than the traditional approach of printing out a report that's out of date the minute you hit the print button.
Exactly, Scott. So here, for example, there's a discussion button on that. I can hit discussion,
yes.
And I can hear what do you want to talk about. You can see my profile pictures popped up there, so everyone's got a profile.
Yep.
And what do you want to use an @ symbol to tag a person, and a
yep.
hash thing to tag a particular object. So we can post a discussion there and target it at a particular group or person. So look, that's it. Let's go back to our dashboard now. You can see that it's now popping up. It's active. That's adding some diagrams, and of course, there are typically you might have lots and lots of diagrams. I had an organization just yesterday that has got more than 10,000 diagrams in their repositories. You don't have to be concerned about that. If you're a person at a strategy level, you just give people access to diagrams at that level. But there is a huge amount here that you can put onto the dashboards, and you might put some diagrams on for strategy people, and you have another technology dashboard, and you can put the technology diagrams onto that, and then you can choose what dashboards people have got access to as well. So a very starting to create a very useful dashboard, Scott.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Stephen. It's been great to see this diagrams widget and how you can use it within Collaborator to create a really rich, detailed dashboard, which extends beyond your standard diagrams and allows you to have collaboration and traceability and much, much more. And it's nice and easy to use too. You can search for diagrams and add them easily. You can move them around. You can change the titles, the title backgrounds, the title text colors, and change the size and whether they are active and whether you can maximize them. So we've certainly covered a lot, but it's been very easy to do. To all our customers, if you want to look at more videos in our series of dashboard creation, you can find them on the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. There are many videos about Trerado and other Sparx Systems products. If you want information or you would like to reach out to Stephen for training or advice, his credentials are listed in the video description below. And once again, I'd like to say thank you very much to you, Stephen, for showing us how powerful Collaborator is, how easy it is to add diagrams, and it's been fantastic to learn a little bit more about Collaborator today. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Scott, and to the audience out there, please don't be shy to get in contact. I'm very interested in helping organizations be successful with this, and you can see that really there's a great opportunity to reach your own internal audiences or your extended customer audiences as well.
Excellent.